For those who just joined, reminder to select your interpretation language, whether English or French. Reminder to keep your mics on mute if you're not speaking. Please make use of the hand gestures if you do wish to use the mic. And please place your questions in the chat in all caps. They will be monitored and posed by our moderators. I now invite DGE Brian to welcome you to today's session. DGE Brian, over to you.
Thanks, Leah. I almost forgot to unmute, but thanks, Leah, and welcome to everyone. Good to see PDG David and PDG Lyle supporting us and supporting all of us here. And I'm sure we'll find them in a room or two during the course of the proceedings. So thanks to both of you for being here. Welcome to all the AGEs and to the incoming training team. So we've only got 2 hours, well, 1 hour and 56 minutes left. So, you know, let's go for it and let's have a productive evening. So welcome all.
Thank you so much, DGE Brian. Okay, now we invite, we move to the Q&A segment, and I invite Sir AB. He's one of the co-moderators of this session. The other co-moderator will join him a little later. So it's now your time. AB, it's over to you.
In terms of the, just got pulled here, Leah just came in quickly and rushing around. Right, well, we didn't, so what's the format for this afternoon session really is we're going to be going through the case study and, well, case material that was presented. And coming out of that, we anticipate there's going to be a multitude of questions that's going to be tossed around seeking answers. And
okay, sorry to cut you, AB. Just before we get to the case study, they're gonna do the case study in the breakout sessions.
Okay.
But before we get to that, we were gonna give them an opportunity to in the wider room to raise any questions that they had from Tuesday's presentation. So we just start with that first. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we don't have any in the chat box, but I can begin by kicking things off coming out of the session on the last day. Lots of responsibilities were discussed regarding the role of the AG, and we had a nice bunch of, or a nice mix, I would say, of new AGs, as well as those that have been into their first and as much as into their third years. So coming out of that, lots of responsibilities that were shared. Question I would pose then is there any, within the district itself, any guidelines that can serve as a reference? I know you covered quite a lot of stuff. Is there anything within the district's portal that new AGs can refer to just be reminded of their responsibilities? And we are in March now. If we look at March, April, May, and June, what is there anything that would say what are the lead-on activities as you head into the year for new AGs? And I think this could be posed, or this could be directed to maybe one of our PDGs, PDG Dave, one of the most resourceful persons in the district. Maybe you can provide some nuggets for our new or incoming AGs with respect to, as of March leading into the 1st of July, what would be some of the priority things that should be focused upon?
Yeah, I thought you would defer to Lyle, who was the most recent PDG. You know, I'm very long in the tooth. But anyway, but I will give some I guess advice on what you should be looking at, and the duties. Well, there are going to be many things, I'm sure, that during the course of PECs and so on, and maybe you've read already, log online at Rotary.org, and probably some of the, I'm not sure, but I think a lot of the input we had maybe in the last 3 years at least. I'm sure Lyle's year we had a lot of the documents and Sonia's, Lyle's and Sonia's specs, which were both online. And I think those documents are probably somewhere on your website, Lyle. He's nodding. So yes, if those things are available and they are there for reading, so I wouldn't want to be repeating them verbatim. But I think AG should be looking at and try and compartmentalize what their responsibilities are, both as an overview for the year and as an overview for what then happens at specific times, because you're the AG every day of the year. That's something I want you to remember. You're the AG every day of the year, not only when the governor is coming or only when an event is happening. You're the AG every day of the year, and there are some responsibilities that go with that, some seen and unseen. But clubs need help, and help being relative, club need help all the time, and it follows on that the relationship the AG has with the clubs leads to the amount that the AG is required. And I know that sounds technical, but it's true. If you have a good relationship with the clubs pick up the phone and call you or invite you to something, and tell you come down, we have an X or Y. That's the type of relationship that one should try to build, as opposed to one where you're clinical and saying that, well, I'm the AG, I'm going to visit you every quarter. I'm coming on July the 18th, and I'm coming on October the 15th. That really, it ticks the boxes, but is it doing the job? Maybe not. You want an AG who is probably helping or answering questions or trying to integrate with the clubs all the time. And even if you miss a quarterly official meeting, you probably still have done more by your interaction. So that's why I'm saying, don't get caught up only in dates and times. Try to be that person who is sort of always around. Don't try to overpower the presidents either. That's the other side of that coin. Then the presidents do their job. Let them, every clubs try to do things differently, and we have to let people do things differently. And that goes for everything. I'm speaking, and I know I have at least one member of my club on here that knows that that's a good example, because I know he's a good example of that. We have to let people do things differently and give them the opportunity, right, Makonnen? So if you never give people the opportunity, then how will we get people to be improving and coming forward and helping at a different level? You have to give them the opportunity. So don't try to overpower the presidents if they're going okay and they're trying different things all within the rules. No problem at all. Don't try to force them down your way or your club's way, because that's really not what you're there for. The other thing is from a public relations point of view, what the clubs are doing, just to keep an eye on it. Nowadays, social media is really active. Keep an eye on what they're doing in that respect as well. I personally try to focus on that worldwide too, with some of the other things I deal with, because it's a good indicator of what's going on, what you see turn up on social media. And then they might realize, hey, well, really that's not for our Rotary page. Maybe okay, may pass for my page, but it may not pass for my club's page. You have to differentiate between the two sometimes. So we have to be very careful there. And then, of course, the other real formal duties of the district governor's visit and that type of thing, representing the governor when he or she's not there, but also organizing with the clubs the visit of the governor. I know you have different views to others, so others will speak for themselves. But the governor's visit is a very important visit, but it's not to be seen as though they're only there for show and pictures and great parties and that type of thing. That's not what we want to project. But we want to see. I say we. I'm using we widely, I'm not speaking any person. Speaking for all of us. To be seen to be doing what we are supposed to do, because we are out there raising funds all the time, and they like to know that we are doing projects that redound to the promise we make to the people. Every time we go out to the public and try to raise money, we are telling them, look, you are trust us. We are going to be doing this for X types of projects. Show them the projects you are doing. That's very important, rather than the hotels we are in and that type of thing, and parties. So those are great things too, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying what we show is the important thing. We need to show the projects as well, because I think we've been probably in some cases missing out on that sometimes over the years. Not trying to be now or this year or last year or any other year in particular, but we need to focus. We just got to remember what our focus is. The other things will fall into place, and just generally be the person that should be on the other end of a line if someone wants to get some help. I know many AGs are ones who, by the nature of where they're operating, will have a lot more to do than others. And I know, like Vanji in her time, Vanji would have to find the time to get to Montserrat. A lot of the others might just have time to get in the car and go to wherever. That type of thing. So it's a different planning. There's no one size fits all, but in the end, you're still the person that whoever looks up to. And just remember that you are the governor when the governor is not there, but you are not the big stick governor to be telling somebody you must do this or you must do that. That's not what is needed. But be the leader where they look up to you and can talk and ask you. So that's my short answer, Lyle.
Right. So very well. I mean, packed with lots of nuggets there, PDG Dave. I mean, your messages, I think, is really to the very good points mentioned there. I think what I get coming out of it is the posturing in an authoritarian type way is probably not the best way to go, but seek out cooperation, seek out collaboration with the respective clubs under your purview, and you're going to get much more done. So we have a question here. This is from Stephen. He says, when do we have access to that specific part of my Rotary to see if incoming officers are already registered so that we can push the clubs from now? And I think it is, Stephen, if I may just extend your question a bit, it's not only to see who have registered, but maybe to start getting familiar with the requirements of each of the clubs under your purview and what they're required to report in, so that you can also use that as your monitoring tool. Let me see. PDG Lyle, any responses you can provide to Stephen on this one with respect to my Rotary and access?
Well, when I was the governor, we had a great problem in that new AGs could not get access until July 1. Now, Debbie, you were an AG, so has that changed?
Lyle, I am not sure, because what happened, I continued as an AG in your year, so I would have had my access going.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's a bit difficult, but you don't get access until July 1. And then they shut off the access of the previous AG.
So once it's the same person continuing, they see it's the same
Yes.
credentials, they will maintain that. So there you go, Stephen. You may have to reach out to your clubs, maybe for now manually until such time, and encourage them until such time that you can go in and see who have actually done it. Maybe, with their access, walk them through the process.
Or if they could also, Stephen could also ask his predecessor to provide him with the reports.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Very well. Very, very good suggestion. AG Giselle, she's also suggesting the same. All right. So let's keep the questions going. I kicked things off a bit. I'm sure we got a whole panel of persons with lots of wisdoms, all the PDGs. Let's make use of the time that we have with them. So please shoot your questions directly to them.
Hi, AB. We
Yes.
have two hands raised. PDG David and myself. His hand was up
Right.
for me, so I'll defer to him.
Yeah, you
Okay,
go ahead, Leah.
sure.
Go ahead, not urgent.
Oh, okay. It was in response to Stephen's question about the timing. I think part of that also has to do with the AG's information being updated by the DGE, and we are looking into that currently. DGE Brian has said that he will check that out, because we did have a question about that on Tuesday as well with Tuesday with another district officer. So we are looking into that, and as soon as we get confirmation, we'll send out to everyone so you can know. Because how it is, you don't get access for that current year, but they show you, there's a tab that you can click in My Rotary to select the year of service. So once you're inputted for that particular year, then you have access for that year, not any other year. But like I said, we're checking that, and we'll update you once we have more information.
Wonderful, thanks a lot. AG Paul, you got a question.
I do. Good evening, everyone.
Yes.
So when everything is going okay, it's not a problem. But my question is around, if you have a challenge with a club, what's the escalation process like? How do you sort of start the process of resolution?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I think the best person or the best people to respond to that again would be our PDGs.
But perhaps DGE Brian can give an overview of what how he would like that process to work during his tenure.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, the question was, if you have a problem with a club, what's the escalation process? The first place you would start is within the club itself. So if there's a problem with the club, you speak to the president, you speak to the members of the board of directors. If it involves individuals within the club members, you get them involved in the discussion, and as far as possible, you try to resolve it at that level. And I'm speaking from the point of view, when I was AG, which I have been several times, that's the approach I used. Now, what you find, and I'm sure many of you would be in the same position, you would obviously, your next port of access would be to the district governor. And you would have that discussion with the district governor. And if there are any PDGs or past presidents of that club who are familiar enough with the culture of the club to be able to assist in the resolution process, it's a good idea to speak to them. So yes, it's important to bring any issues to the attention of the district governor, but that does not necessarily mean that the district governor alone is the person who can initiate a resolution of a dispute. As I said, it can be the past presidents, a couple past presidents of the club, who might be more intimately familiar with the issues, might be more familiar with the culture of the club and the cause of the dispute, who could guide you through the process. The district governor is somebody who would have been trained during the process of being prepared for being district governor to deal with issues like that. So it would be an integral part of their training. And obviously it would make sense to get the district governor involved. What I have found as well, you develop relationships with past district governors. For example, if it is a club in, say, one of the Dutch territories, you might want to discuss it with one of the Dutch PDGs. Again, because of the closeness to the matter and they might have more internal knowledge of the issue. But the reality is that the buck does stop with the district governor. That's why they're district governors. And the district governors themselves might suggest that you as assistant governor, they as district governor, and any other persons they consider appropriate. For example, if it's a matter where you need to bring in somebody with a more legal background, for example, if I was asked to assist in the resolution of a dispute that involved legal issues, of course, I would go around looking for the legal people in the team. Debbie, you would be one of them, for example, and so on. So there's no fixed formula. The mode of resolution depends on the circumstances, and who you wish to assist in the process of resolution depends on the knowledge that person would have of the culture of the club and any expertise they might have in the area that is causing the dispute. So I hope that would have addressed the question. I'm sure PDG Lyle, PDG David, and DGN Debbie might want to add something to this, but that is my initial contribution.
Yes, thank you, PDG Brian. Yeah, PDG Lyle or PDG Dave. Any additions to comments made by DG Brian?
I support that fully. Sorry, I apologize that I'm off camera now. But as you might have seen earlier, I'm dealing with grants too, so multitasking not suitable for the camera all the time. But yeah, so yeah, I agree with Brian wholeheartedly, and having been on the other end of that same stick for many years, I agree with him, and it's probably the only sensible way. But I always, regardless of how we were dealing it, at least let the DG know what's going on. That's the important thing, because after all, when anything spills up or gets a little off track, it's the DG that's responsible. So keep him informed, even if he's not involved in the day-to-day. Keep him informed of what's going on.
Okay, great. PDG Lila, any comments to add?
No, actually, no, that's exactly what I said. Yeah.
Okay, we got another question coming in concerning the Rotary clubs that we must also supervise. I noticed that we do not have access to Rotary Club Central for the Rotary clubs, and therefore of their goals and their follow-up. Only member data is available. Will we be able to have access to the data for our Rotary clubs? PG Lyle, since you have the mic, you can shed some light on that.
Well, actually, you have Giselle here, who is the guru for all things Rotaract. So she is she is the correct person to answer that.
Yeah, certainly.
And we also have DRC Ever, who is on the call. So yeah, I actually typed the a suggested response in the chat. But just to bring it home, basically, Rotaract unfortunately isn't on the Rotary Club Central as yet. There's a major move to get Rotaract on My Rotary in terms of membership, right? So you can view your entire Rotaract club. You can look at its membership growth, right? You can look at its list of club directors. But unfortunately, Rotaract has not yet been updated, so to speak, to be on the RCC. However, we always, thankfully for us, since 1720, we have a wonderful framework for Rotaract. So we have our ADRRs that are the equivalent to AGs for Rotaract. Every country has one. Only thing may be different is Rotaract may group it differently. So we have AGs per country. You may have a ADRR that shares 2 countries, right? But your current DRR will be able to advise on that, and also Ever will definitely be able to share. We'll be able to share on this, right? So we are in good hands. If ever you need Rotaract information, you have many people you can get that information on. So just reach out. Yeah.
All right.
But
wonderful.
we could one suggestion though, we did it in Lyle's year. So maybe the listing of the ADRRs could be shared to the entire Rotary district team. So that will be working with the incoming DRR, who is Christina from Guyana. So maybe getting what her district team looks like, because there are a lot of similarities and overlap. So that could be a suggestion for DG Brian when he's liaising with DRRE Christina.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks for that bit of information there, AG Giselle. We don't have any more questions in the chat box. However, Leah, how much more time we have for Q&A?
You have 13 minutes. I'm not good with math, but till 6:45.
Right.
But
I'm
if,
sure.
if there are no more questions,
Yeah.
we can utilize the time and move
Yes.
directly into the breakout rooms to do the case study.
Yep. Well, let's do that. We don't have any more lined up. Unless someone has a burning question, you have 2 minutes to get to the mic and get your question out. Or 1 minute, I would say.
Okay, while you're considering your question, I'll go over what the process for the breakout rooms will be. Firstly, let me share 2 files, one in English and one in French. This is the case study that you will be doing in your groups. So this is the English version, and now I'll share the French version for the French on the call. If I could find it. There it is. Okay, firstly, let me say about this case study, it is completely fictional. There's nothing in there that came from any club that I'm aware of. We just created random scenarios to try and get you to think about how you would respond. Secondly, we are going to break you up into 5 rooms. I did anticipate a bit more persons to be on, but this way we have less persons in the group, which gives everyone more opportunity for discussion. When you go into your group, you will have a group leader who will identify themselves when they join your group, and then you can dive right into it. I would recommend having an overall read of the document as part of the introduction out loud, but it's up to you once you're in your groups to read it and discuss it. You do have to come up at the end. You'll see you have a task to do. Oh, no, that's a Frenchman. My French is not that good yet. Here we go. So you basically, your question, you have is what can the AGs do under the circumstances to assist and support the clubs? And we're bearing in mind that that is our major role as assistant governors. And in order to help you not go down the rabbit hole, I've capped it at minimum of 3, maximum of 5 things. Because you really can go down a rabbit hole with this. Do we have any questions before I put you into your breakout rooms? Anybody doesn't understand what we're going to do?
Just a point of clarification, Leah. There's 2 case studies. Are they picking one, or being assigned one, or they're doing both?
Well, no, what you mean 2 case studies?
There's case study 1 for Rotary Club of Utopia and one of Rotary Club of Utopia West.
No, well, it's 1 case study, but
Okay.
you have 2 clubs as the AG. You're responsible for those
All
2
right.
clubs.
All right,
So
gotcha.
you have to respond to both. And then when we come back, you'll have 2 minutes and you'll need someone in your group, not your discussion leader, someone else to present. You'll have 2 to 3 minutes to present on how you'd approach it, what steps you'd take, and how you'd advise your clubs. Okay? Anyone else need any clarification? All right, so off to your breakout rooms you go. Group leaders, if you do not get in your assigned group, please make your way to your assigned group. You can just click breakout rooms and then you'll see them and you'll join the one that you've been assigned them. I hope you had a great time in your breakout rooms. I can't wait to hear all of the wonderful advice that you're going to give RCU and RCUW. So we'll jump right into it and invite, let's just go in order. Group 1, your presenters, please take the mic and let us know your 3 to 5 action points that how you will go about assisting and supporting both clubs in this scenario.
Group 1, Jean-Marc, you're the first question.
So for the first question, in our group, what we said is we are not, our role as AG is to accompany members in their desire to act and not to interfere with the internal management of the clubs. We're here to help the clubs and to help the members of the clubs, and not being there to have a judgment about the running of the club. In fact, and the idea was to be in a constant dialogue and in a constant hearing of the club and to provide advice, but we are not here to manage the club instead of the president, and we are not there to do what we would like to do, that we are at the service of the club and not here to decide for the clubs. And if members want to go and create a new club, we are also here to help them if it's necessary. But our role is really to accompany members and not to judge, listen, try to help, not to interfere with the internal management of the club, but be there to help membership and to help Rotary to develop in our region. That's the main idea. Brian, are you okay?
Okay, yes, and I'll expand just a couple more in terms of, so we won't get involved in the management of the club, but first and foremost, we try to call. If we don't get through, we'll email them. If we don't get through, we'll try to use a little bit of a backdoor and get into another board member or another member to try to find out what's going on the club. So you sort of, navigate your way through to make sure you can get through to these people. And then if not, what we'll do is speak to the DG, let them know we are going to be sending emails, and we'll copy the DG on it as well too. So when they see that the DG's name, and let them know in copy that the DG is being copied, sometimes you get a little more leverage. And then we can send the emails, copy the DG. If we don't get a response, then we'll have to kind of firm up a little bit of a little firm action. with the DG in collaboration, probably with a, a past district governor in the club or in another club in the cluster, or maybe a past assistant governor, as the case may be. So anywhere we could utilize resources. So as Jean-Marc said, we don't want to tell them how to run their club, but those are the kind of steps we kind of take to go forward with that first question. I'll just move on to the second question now one time. So first and foremost, we will try to navigate to those who could, we can motivate. So in other words, we'll use the back door again, try to find out who, for those who are willing to sort of listen, we'll try to leverage a little bit on them in such a way, motivate them to use the Rotary Learning Center and even to attend the district conference, and make sure that they feel encouraged and motivated that this is something as part and parcel of their own activities, and that they should be part of it. We'll invite them to all events and even functions within the cluster. So now they have collaboration with other members from other clubs, and they learn by talking, finding out about projects, and they become more involved, and they recognize Rotary is much bigger than, being from their own club as well. So they're not just limited to that viewpoint of their club only. We'll focus on introductions and making them feel welcome at different functions so they become empowered and motivated. We will host some small sessions on Rotary Foundation and make sure that the message is brought across through many different functions, whereby they understand the global solutions that Rotary provides through the Rotary Foundation. And that way they will now understand they are part of a global solution, rather than just simply thinking that it's something they have to donate. You have to feel part and parcel of the solution. And we will encourage collaboration to join the clubs, possibly as bringing two clubs together as one club as a potential, even though that the president is a bit challenging. We can start opening discussions with that. Again, there's no right answer to this. It's just a matter of collaboration and understanding the context and the people who are in the club and how we navigate through those things. Okay, so those were our questions from group one. Answers from group one.
Excellent. I like how you took a non-confrontational approach. And as you rightly said, there are not necessarily any set correct answers. And it really just depends on the individuals and how they feel be best. I like the fact that you outlined how you will include the DG during the various stages. So you're not acting as AG on your own, but you're working with the DG and with the members who want to learn more, etc. Definitely joining the clubs is an option, because when you do have one with such little members and most of them wanting to leave, so I can see how that could be an action that may help the overall, will be beneficial for Rotary overall. So great intervention, group one. We'll move straight into group two. The presenter or presenters for group two, please take the mic.
Yes, thank you, Leah. Yes, it was a very small group, but we managed to have some pointers about this case. And the first is the case of this Rotary Club of Utopia. And what we are suggesting is that we are going to we're trying to contact all the old and the new members and try to see if we can have a health check of the club, see where they think that the problems are from the clubs, and after the health check, try to get them in a club assembly. Of course, out of the health check, you're gonna have you're gonna have listed the problems of the club, and by then contacting the district governor and explaining to him what specific problems you have with a certain club, and in the club assembly, more in thinking of a retreat, try to get the president and the members there, and try to discuss the problems. And if he is not, let's say, he's not seeing the problems of the dishealth of the club, maybe the other members want to start a new club, because you cannot continue like this, and it's not possible to put the president aside. In terms of the projects, there are projects, but fellows are not involved. So that will also be one of the issues that will came up in the health check. And we're thinking of an assessment of projects by contacting the government and community organizations, where the fellows can have, let's say, much more involvement than what is happening now in the current situation. The other one is the public image chair. He puts everything aside. So what we are suggesting is to start up from the bottom and starting with the new social media account and those other things to start that up again. And one of the important things, of course, is to bring fellowship back into that club. And I cannot read my handwriting here. What is this? Encourage new. No, I missed that one. About the second club, the Rotary Club of Utopia West, we are suggesting that we are suggesting to the board, the president, to the board, that that club needs more Rotary training, and also the fellows try to involve them into the learning center so that they will get much more Rotary knowledge, including Rotary Foundation knowledge and membership knowledge, etc., etc. And also about branding, because there are also a lot of trainings and case studies about branding, and they are misusing branding at the moment. So that is also one of the things that they must change. And that club needs a lot of guidance, and that is how we want to support the club with guidance into much more Rotary knowledge. Those are the points. I think I missed a few of them, but I was not very fast in writing it in the time.
Can I say something, Leah? Yeah, we spoke about, just to support Stephen, we spoke about the onboarding. Obviously, there was definitely no onboarding for members, and we said we would have asked the president to assign mentors, or the membership chair to assign mentors to each member. And as the AG, we would also encourage membership to attend the conferences and the conventions.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Group 2. Quite comprehensive. Another great approach by taking the learning route. I just want to be devil's advocate and ask this question as it relates to RCU. When you said you would do the club retreat as a club assembly, as a club retreat, what if the members didn't show up? What if they don't come?
Yeah.
They would.
Because no, I just said that because when Stephen was saying, he said, you know, we would have that and we would try to get all the members to attend. But definitely a great approach, especially reaching out to the former members who've already left the club. Because if it is, you find out why they left, and if you can actually help resolve any issues, then you can grow the club membership.
Exactly.
So I like the fact that you didn't think to just abandon the club, and you wanted to work with them. And certainly as it relates to Utopia West, recognizing that that club, even with its potential, still needs guidance is an excellent approach, helping them through the Rotary Learning Center. And the mentors are a wonderful way of incorporating and infusing Rotary knowledge as they go through. The conference and the conventions, we know, are a fun way for fellowship, and you really get a bigger sense of Rotary when you attend those. So great suggestions. I can see that you're already on your way to being wonderful AGs. Group 3. Can you take the mic, please?
Okay, good night. Okay, so what we noted, there are two clubs that complement each other. There's a seasoned club, 30 years old, and there's a pretty new club. So some of the assumptions we made, we assumed that the president was being democratically elected. And it could also be a case whereby the president is so influential that he could attract donors outside, that the club may have been between a rock and a hard place because he's not running it the way Rotary wants to run it. However, he's attracting funds, so that might be one of the bases upon which he's continuously being re-elected. However, even though it appears to be this way, we do not want to assume. Well, so it told us that we have difficulty trying to get a meeting with him. However, we will still try, even though not with the president personally, will try to find the root of the problem in the club, because ever since he took over, that's when the membership started to dwindle. So it's fair to assume that he is a significant part of the problem. But as opposed to just assuming, we will try to get the root cause of the problem. Another thing we were considering, there are persons who were passionate, they joined Rotary, but because the club went in their own direction and not necessarily the Rotary way, they lost the Rotary enthusiasm. So we were thinking, possibly, it may backfire, however, it still could be tried. If you as AG, could reach out to the members just to invite them to the Utopia West meetings, just so they could get back that Rotary passion and fire in them. It's quite possible most of them may want to stay. However, it's a try, because it's something I did here with the Rotary Club. It was dwindling, and I told the president, let some of the members come to our meetings, just see how we do things differently. Because we have an old club stuck in the old ways. We have a new club doing things differently. So whereas some mistakes, some could possibly take back ideas to the club. So we don't want to assume that the president drives everything, because it could be the membership chair you invite to the meeting, and the membership chair could go back and try to engage and re-energize other members there. As a last resort, we were thinking of a fireside, because it could be a case where persons have just given up and just attend meetings for attendance sake. However, if you as AG could go there as it might be difficult trying to get the president's attention to even have a fireside. However, we're still thinking if you could get members to come out with a fireside and start to address some of these things, because members may have gotten complacent, and you as AG have to remind them that it's not a bunch of individuals doing their own thing. Rotary have areas of focus. Rotary have a certain way we do things. So at the fireside, you can use that opportunity to reinforce the Rotary way. And that was some of the approaches we're thinking of. In terms of Utopia West, we're saying we could have, the only thing we noted lacking was the foundation, and we could, me as the AG would schedule probably a foundation presentation, because actually, District Governor-elect Brian, he actually came to our club and had a presentation on the foundation, and our attitude towards the foundation changed just from that presentation. Because a lot of the times you just hear about foundation and you don't really get a comprehensive presentation to really appreciate what the foundation does for Rotary. So for Utopia West, me as AG, I could do a presentation on the foundation just to reinforce the importance of the Rotary Foundation. Yeah, that's it for mine.
I think I want to add one thing, what we talked about, and that's what we already heard before. It's indeed to show people how they can go to the learning center. You first have to show them, but what we saw, the club is 5 years old and they miss trainings where they could follow themselves, but they first need to be guided where to find it and how to do it. That was in a general, what we saw in the details, what is missing, but the general training, and indeed for the foundation, because that's an important project to get more projects in your club. So that was what I think Bantu is right, to do that as an AG yourself, to spend some time on that. But for the rest, it's just the training in the learning center.
Okay, great. I'm loving hearing these different perspectives, and Fireside stood out to me. I had to hear you say it about 3 times before I figured out what you meant by Fireside. I was thoroughly confused, but I understand now, thankfully. But great suggestions. I particularly liked the recognition again that the club does need training, and the initiative you take on as AG to conduct the training on the Rotary Foundation. Time is running, so I'm going to go straight to group 4 for them to present on their response. Group 4, anyone from group 4?
Go ahead, Betty.
Hi, good night. Okay, so we looked at 4 main areas: training. We were kind of concerned with the anonymous donor giving funds. So we said maybe get a risk manager in the club to look at the fund. We looked at setting term limits for the president, because somebody being president for 4 times. And we also looked at having a joint meeting with both clubs. My team member, Betty, she will expound more, but she will expound on the other 3 points, but I'll just touch training. We felt that it's important that training is carried out, because it's obvious that there's some issues, especially with the foundation members not wanting to donate. Somebody just said it before, possibly they don't know the work that the foundation does, and they don't realize that when you give to the foundation, you actually get it back 2 and 3 times over. So we felt that training was important. My team member, Betty, she will expound on the other 3 points.
Sure. Thank you, AGE Diane. So we spoke about, having joint club meeting with both clubs. And the reason for this is to encourage and to foster team spirit, working together as a team. It will also, allow persons, to open up. When someone open up and they say what is on their mind, you can better understand. And the only way we can move forward is understanding each other and understanding, our positions. So trying to get that joint club meeting, we will feverishly work with that so that, we can move forward. The restriction on the president term is to alleviate any sort of, fraudulent activity or anything that may come up that may be unseen. Yeah, because one of the things we want to do is to protect the image of Rotary. We will also have a designated risk manager of the club to research the background of and to ascertain the anonymous donor, because we want to make sure that at the end of the day Rotary being a professional organization, the name brand remains. Yeah. So this is in a nutshell, what we will do on our end to encourage both teams coming together and working on for one common goal.
Great, thank you. Group 4.
That's it for me.
I have one question. Who is the accountant in that group? There is an accountant or a CAM specialist in that group.
I am.
Definitely. I saw that coming out from the time you said the risk analyst, and that is an excellent point, actually.
And it was actually DGE Brian, and we all know that his background is accounting. So
yeah, that definitely had to have come from an accountant or a CAM specialist. Most other persons would have just been like, yeah, give us the money. So that is an excellent point, especially in today's society. Always you have to vet who you're getting the funds from, and to ensure, as Rotary is I can't remember oh Lord, it slipped me, but in the last 4 or 5 years, Rotary has won this award for the way it manages its funds at international level. And as clubs, we and districts, we have to follow that rule to ensure that we keep our integrity with our finances. So I loved that point in particular.
Keep our integrity.
Okay, group 5.
And Leah, sorry to say, I'm a senior banker, so all of this is part of.
Oh yes, well definitely, it's right up in your alley as well. Group 5, last but definitely not least. They were the smallest group. It was just 3 of them. Again, that was my poor math skills, but they made it work. We'll hear from them.
Yes, thanks so much, Leah. So we were the 3 Bajans, myself, Makunam, and Paul. So we're here today to summarize for you because you guys said everything we have already, right? So we do agree that you do need to, as an AG, just kind of remember what the role of the AG is about, right? So we're there to promote strong clubs, so to work with our clubs. And of course, we're there also to promote best practices, right? So to bring that to more specifics, many of you have already said it. We did agree that there needs to be some sort of individual approach with the president as well as leaders within the club, whether it's a long-standing Rotarian or present board members. And one-on-ones tend to work well. So if the president was not responding to the previous AG, maybe that could be a personal thing, we assume that, and they may be more open to someone new, right? So we take them up to coffee, we go on the avenue and we'll have a one-on-one. Right, moving on. So once we have them listening and engaged, we did agree also with the club forum, because it's very important to hear from our members. This, of course, is for RCU, right? The very strong club, but it's also slowly dying. We agree that they too needed training, because age does not mean that you have stopped learning, right? So especially their stance where they kind of know it's already, that could be really detrimental to your club. So we advocate for them also getting training. And it's something we learned before from Liz, where she shared that for their club, when people leave, they actually do exit interviews. So it's something that's really interesting as to finding out why. What's your main reason of a member is leaving your club, and kind of use that as a lessons learned now to get better. Right? And something Paul shared, which was really cool, which was about really the balance between fellowship and service, and us remembering, well, Rotaract has an unofficial theme, which is fellowship through service. And we felt like that needed to be adopted by both of these clubs to move forward. For Utopia, the underscore was training, 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 and training. And out of that, everything will come in terms of impactful projects, understanding of foundation, increased funding, being able to understand the Rotary principles, the Rotary basics, as it was called, being exposed to the Learning Center, and also having better protocols in terms of public image, right? So that was our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Group 5, and thank you all for your presentations, all excellent advice. Everyone has clearly served as AGs for a number of consecutive terms because you have exceeded the expectations, certainly taken on the orientation, and you're well on your way to guiding, supporting, and assisting you, not just your district governor, but your clubs. There was just one thing I would have loved to have heard more specifically, and I know all of the groups mentioned training on the Rotary Foundation, but what I was looking for was more of the flesh out for the district grant or global grant. So something along those lines, especially since for Utopia West, they were saying that they wanted to be able to access funding for their projects to be more impactful. So I really was looking for that, but I know it would have come among the various Rotary Foundation learning and presentations that you were going to do. But all in all, excellent advice. I love how you took the role from an AG perspective, understanding that what you do is guide, support, advise, make recommendations instead of no one went in with a big stick. Everyone was taking a collaborative approach, a non-combative approach. So well done. I will turn over to DGE to give some comments on your responses as well, and see, I'm sure he's elated to see that he has such great persons on his team, but I'll let him speak for himself.
Thank you, Leah. As you said, Leah, the responses were excellent. And what I liked was the different focuses of each group. I don't think there were, the responses were not the same from each group. From each different group, I think we got a different emphasis, which is, I think, what we were trying to look for from this exercise. So from that point of view, I think that has been very successful. And from the cross synthesis of the various responses, I think the learning experience has been intensified because we have learned from each other's responses. So instead of, I know we contemplated just having a single group, but having gone through the 4 groups, I think we can all appreciate the benefits of having different groups looking at it and then discussing the various responses in the wider group. So, I think this has gone extremely well. I don't know if any of the PDGs have any additional comments they would like to make. PDG David, I know this is right up your street. I'm not sure whether you have anything to add.
Not right now.
Okay, well, thank you.
Not right now, DG. Sorry.
Okay, well, Leah, okay, back to you then.
Thanks, DGE. Does anyone from any group would they like anything clarified or expounded on? Do you have any questions for any other group based on what they presented?
Hi, Leah. I actually had a question. One of the recommendations, and I think Diana and Betty Ann's group said it as well, was to use the bylaws, right? More or less. But what happens really if no one goes up or wants to go for president? But you have the one president who's been president for life willing to go up again. It's kind of, even if you have it in the bylaws, I'm just thinking, what teeth do we really have to make that work?
Thank you so much.
Sorry, interrupt, because I think there was a situation we more or less had in our club. Our bylaws says you can be president for 2 years, and then we had to have another president. At that moment, nobody wanted to be president. Nobody came up to be elected. So we tried to put somebody up front. And talked with that, spoke with that person. We succeeded at the end, but I think you have to respect your bylaws. That's one thing. And you need to be then within your club, people will come up with solutions and ideas. And if people get, I'll say, a little bit pushed into a leadership role, some will take it because it's also a way of proving yourself. And
one moment, it's all good.
oh, sorry, my Siri is on. So I don't know how to explain, but we had a similar situation and it worked out, and might not be the perfect solution, but it gave us the next year that we got more people that were there to be president, who wanted to be president. So you have to go sometimes through a dip, but I think you have to respect your bylaws. Very important.
Thanks, Lise, for that. That was along the lines of what I was going to say. In writing this, I specifically put that in there because I wanted to trigger you to discuss leadership development. So I was hoping that something of that nature would come out and that you would realize that this was an opportunity as AG to look for other members in the club who had leadership potential and try to groom them, even if an agreement, even if no one came up forward for that upcoming year, because obviously he's serving now, so you would need a president-elect, but then you could come to an agreement that in the meantime, you will be working with individuals to create that leadership pool that those persons now will feel comfortable to put themselves up or accept nominations for the presidency. So that's where I was heading with that. So I'm glad that you picked that up, Giselle, because it could be tricky. And we do have that in a lot of our clubs. I like to say, as much as we are a volunteer organization, a lot of volunteering doesn't actually happen. And we have to be voluntold most of the times. But we still just have to keep trudging along and encouraging and basically building each other's confidence. I think that's how you work with that for the most part. I see Banji's hand is up. Banji, go ahead.
Hi, yes, thank you. One member of our team was concerned about the number of members and if it actually constitutes a legal club.
Well, my understanding is to start a club, you need 20, but after that, once you're paying your dues, I don't think they do anything to you. Ideally, it would be better if you could attract more members, but I think once you're up to date with your dues, even though you're below the standard number required to start a club, you'll still be in good standing. And I think we do have situations like that currently in the district where clubs are below the 20 starter mark. And our DGE and PDGs can assist me there. PDG Lyle, I saw you nodding.
No, you're right, Leah. 20 to start, but then, you know, Rotary says that if you fall below 6, the governor can consider whether or not a club is viable. Yeah, but Rotary is not in any hurry to close clubs.
Okay, fantastic. Any other interventions or clarifications required? Everyone happy with the information shared? Great. So we are right on time. Announcements and reminders. We continue next week. We open up to our PEs and SEs. Of course, AGEs, you are all welcome back and to go on this journey with your president-elects and secretary-elects. Next week, our topics will be budgeting and service projects, but specifically with a focus on needs assessments. You AGEs at your discretion, you can feel free to invite your incoming club treasurers, as well as your incoming service project chairs / directors to attend this session, as what will be expressed will certainly be useful for them, and it would help the president and secretary-elects in passing over that information if the persons who have to actually carry it out are here present to hear it firsthand. But I'll leave that to your discretion. We do encourage it though. Also, we are now up to, just checking the pets registration. We're still a little under where registration should be based on the number of clubs that we have. We are currently at 93 registrants. We still have some clubs who have not registered anyone, so we will be compiling a list and reaching out to you to ask you to encourage your club president-elects and secretary-elects to register. For pets, please feel free to share the link with them and encourage them to attend the pets as well, but encourage them to register so we can get their details. We also still have some clubs that are outstanding in terms of updating their club membership, their club incoming officers on Rotary Club Central. I think the deadline has passed and they may need assistance from our club and district support at RI. I will share in the chat the email for the 2 persons that are assigned to our district. We no longer have the wonderful Marnie and Rebecca. We have 2 persons, Sonia, and I can't recall the other person's name, but I'll put it in the chat in a bit. I now invite DGE Brian to give closing remarks.
Thank you, Vanjie. Well, there isn't much to say except, again, thanks to everyone for attending. Thanks to all the AGEs, and, you know, yeah, the district is in great hands with you guys. Thanks to the remarkable training committee, to Leah and the rest of the training team. You know, a lot of effort goes into these training sessions, and yes, we all belong to the same voluntary organization. So thanks for sacrificing your time and your expertise to make this work for Rotary. And of course, thanks to the old guys. There aren't any old girls on tonight, but thanks to the old guys, the old men. There used to be a movie called Grumpy Old Men, but these guys aren't so grumpy. But thanks to Lyle and David and Elwin for supporting this entire effort of training. I know your heart is in it, and you know, I think we all appreciate your presence. So next week we change gears. The team gets bigger, but we really do expect that everyone who's on here this evening will be here next week. So thanks so much. And the journey continues next week on Tuesday. So have a good evening.
Thank you, DGE Brian. I shared the 2 email addresses for Alicia and Sonia, so please be sure to copy them. They can assist you. There are our assigned club and district support officers from Rotary International. So if you need help with your incoming officers being set up on Rotary Club Central, they can assist you or guide you as to who can assist you within the organization. We actually finished 10 minutes ahead of time. Great stuff. So if no one else has anything to add, we can adjourn here at 7:50 p.m.
Hi, Leah. This is PDG Elwin. I just want to wish everyone a great year. Just enjoy what is coming to you, and enjoy the Rotary year and support all you can. But most of all, fun, food, and fellowship.
Fun, food, and fellowship. Thank you so much, PDG Elwin. Fun fact, your pets was my first pets. That was my first stint as club secretary.
Wow. Yep.
Yes.
Look at you now.
Not much further, but getting there, getting there.
Okay. Good job.
Okay. Bye, everyone. See you next
Bye-bye.
Tuesday.